fugitive, and the third case another one. The fact of the matter is that they have used certain provisions of the Serbian law, the citizenship law, the Serb diaspora law, etc., and they were granted Serb citizenship without having relinquished their Montenegrin citizenship. In other words, they are out of reach of the courts. I would like to welcome the agreement between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia. Just recently, Montenegro has extradited an individual to the Croatian judiciary. Such steps need to be taken in order to avoid having fugitives like Mladic, since the situation gravely undermines the trust that needs to be placed into the judiciaries in order for these trials to be conducted that will last for many years to come. Thank you.
Comments. If it is a question, please, I take this as last question, and then we really have to come to an end of this session.
Thank you, Mr. Brammertz, for allowing me to put this last question. I will not introduce myself in other ways, but saying that I'm a victim from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I have one question addressed to all the representatives of courts, both judges and prosecutors of former Yugoslavia. As a victim, this is the first time for me to level criticism at these gentlemen, because this is the first time that I see them here together. This is the first time I see them standing together before the international community. How well do the courts in the former Yugoslavia work? How far will justice be brought to the victims? I will not mention numerous war criminals that we still come across in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and this is the result of the poor cooperation among the courts from the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina, from the territory of former Yugoslavia, and I'm leveling this blame at the door of everyone, regardless of their ethnicity. I would like any of them to say, if no one else, well, at least we heard from the prosecutor from Serbia that he, on the issue of the archives, would like the archives to be situated somewhere outside of the area. Perhaps one of the national courts should be the one to take up that role. However, if we look at what the role was of the judges and prosecutors in the national jurisdictions previously, and that will be a big step to head in the direction forward. Thank you.
I look to the members of the panel. Somebody wants to respond. As I said, it is not our intention to go into individual cases, but...
I'm going to respond because the case of Severin was directly addressed to me. I can say that that was the first war crimes trial held in Serbia. It just so happened that here we have the then president of the court, Mrs. Nata Pisarevic. I was the prosecutor in that case, so I can talk about it with competence. 4 persons were convicted and were sentenced to the highest terms in prison. Only one person is at large, and his name is Oliver Krsmanovic. Therefore, the person that this lady has mentioned has not been tried. I would just like to say a couple of sentences. This trial took place in 2001 and 2002, when the situation and conditions for such kind of trials were very complicated in Serbia. It was held in a large courtroom in the Palace of Peace. There were lots of representatives of right-wing parties who exerted a tremendous pressure on the whole trial, and I believe that that was really a success for the Serbian judiciary to manage, under the circumstances prevailing at the time, to conduct it properly, because at the time we didn't have either the war crimes court or the war crimes prosecutor. As to the question about whether I had visited Srebrenica or any other site of that kind, I would like to answer this question. Now, the question asked by our colleague from Montenegro about citizenship. The regional laws provide for these solutions, and I think that the Republic of Serbia made an initial step by adopting a sort of flexible constitution. There is no ban any longer on extradition of its citizen. They're being interpreted in a different way. One cannot expel one's citizens, which means that Serbia really did address this issue. This is primarily based and due to the will of political elites in the region. This is not something to be solved by people in judiciary. It has to be dealt with at the state levels and their leadership. My colleague Vukcevic and my colleague Bajic said that if we cannot extradite people because 10 years have passed, we are passing over evidence. There are many ways for cooperation in the region by establishing links, by exchanging evidence, and there's a plethora of methods of cooperation provided in the law, so I can say quite frankly and honestly that all our prosecuting offices are cooperating within the established restrictions.
Judges.
Pitanje koje je uputio gospodin Dukić I koje...
The question asked by Mr. Dukic and has been repeated many times over deserves a decisive answer. All the cases mentioned in 2004 and now cannot be processed by the court until they are being processed before that by the prosecution. We cannot order indictments to be issued, but they will have the same treatment just like any other case, because, Mr. Dukic, all the victims deserve to be treated equally, and it is not true that I was in Germany throughout the war. If the moderator would allow me, I would just like to mention the 3 cases referred to by a representative of the camp inmates, Mr. Dukic. As a rule, in our methodology of work, I never discussed pending and ongoing cases. All I'm going to say to you, Mr. Dukic, is that all the 3 cases are under investigation. The Dobrovoljačka Street case will be soon referred to a domestic prosecutor. At this moment, I'm not going to discuss this in detail because it is up to the prosecutor who is going to work on this case. The silo case is going to be finalized within a few months. I can promise you that, because the prosecutor has been instructed to review it and to pass a decision. And as for the Viktor Buban case, the investigation is nearing closure. Please, whenever you appear at such conferences, I kindly ask you not to gesticulate in the manner that you did when speaking to me, because I have always maintained the stance that anyone who is guilty of war crimes shall be held responsible. I'm here only to do my job.
Word of the end. Thanks to the panelists for your explanations and for making yourself available during 2 hours. Thanks to all of you. Bon appétit.